What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you. Yeah. We sitting over here with cousin Troy. We gonna talk our ish. We gonna talk our talk. Like one of the topics that I wanted to get into, right? And sometimes it's good to get different perspectives. I haven't been on the internet for a little while. I just seen black people celebrating Christmas while white people was building doomsday bunkers.
Ooh. Ooh. Wow.
I'm gonna say this again.
Wow.
I just sat back and watched white billionaires for 2024. They're building doomsday bunkers. But over in the Negro section, in a hood near you, I just watched a 14 and 15-year-old get into a slugfest. Hit him in the head with a headshot. They got into a slugfest over who got more gifts for Christmas. Help me to understand. Somebody please. Because everybody be like, oh, you pushing fear. I never told you to be afraid. I said be prepared. Only a coward lives in fear. A soldier dies one time. A coward dies 1,000 times within his brain before he even walks out of his house. I sat back and watched a billionaire order him a doomsday bunker. And other billionaires started building them doomsday bunkers. But you got a 14 and a 15-year-old that had a slugfest for Christmas. Little nigga shot his sister with a 11-month-old baby and a 10-month, 11-month-old baby in her hand. And his brother that got more gifts than him shot him. They both had guns on their waist going Christmas shopping. Now my question, because sometimes I gotta share the stage and get somebody else's. I just want to know from your perspective, because sometimes when I'm going through things, my cousin, he be counseling me. I just need to know who's to blame for that mentality. Not only that, the sister that got shot, she had 2 kids. The 10-month, 11-month-old, and I think a 6 or 7-year-old or 11-year-old. The ages, I'm not sure. Who's going to raise those kids? The same ones that raised the shooters?
Shit.
Where do we begin?
The biggest thing that I think that we're missing in this equation is, because you mentioned the shooters, the kids, you mentioned the sister, you mentioned the baby that she was holding. Where are the fathers?
Where's all the fathers at?
Where are the fathers?
Where all these young boys running wild in the streets? Where's all the fathers at? Y'all heard the song with me and Five God. Where's all the fathers at? Where all these young boys is running wild in the streets.
In my opinion, there's guidance that needs to be put in place, and there's role models that needs to be put in place. And I'm not talking about Jordan, LeBron, or anything outside of the household, but I'm talking about the actual fathers that needs to be in place to show these young brothers how to conduct themselves, how to carry themselves, right? And how much anger do you have to have built up inside of you? And when I say build up, that means over a course of time, over a period of time, that you build up to where you are enticed or even aggravated to pull a weapon out and shoot your sister or your sibling. right? Your brother, right? Both being siblings. But that means that there's a lot of anger that is built up to even get to that point on both sides, right? The retaliation from one brother towards the other, and then the initiation from the one brother to shoot the sister, and then where's the miscalculation that one deserves more presence than the other, or that the equation of love is based off of gifts given on a Christmas holiday, which has nothing in all actuality to do with gift giving or anything else. It's a pagan holiday, but that's
Yo, they
a whole
said
nother
that one of the brothers
paganist holiday. But that's a whole
yo,
other
they said
situation.
one of the brothers used to terrorize the police. This is a 14-year-old and a
that can't be.
15-year-old.
That can't be. That
The
can't be.
American, the African American, and I hate to use that saying, nightmare. This is the nigga nightmare. And what people don't understand is that if you don't contain that evil, it spreads to other children. What you think happened when those kids go to school and they're around other children? With that energy. Those kids was dangerous. And they breeding other dangerous children, because when you a father like me, and you a father like him, well, we've experienced the streets. But we don't bring that home to our children.
Can I tell you this? So, God drops pebbles before he drops the boulder. So there were signs of these kids being the way that they were way before the boulder dropped. The boulder dropped when obviously they killed the sister and all the rest of that.
He
right?
talking about that check engine light.
You know what I'm saying?
That check engine light came on before they started wilding like that.
Way before. And that's critical. And if we don't pay attention to that, and if we don't adhere and see those signs, now your car has conked out on the side of the road. Right?
Them little niggas conked out on the side of the road. Now the judge is getting ready to judge them.
Oh, man.
And see, the thing about it is, it's like that kid, 14, 15-year-old, shot his sister. He don't even know how he gonna feel about that later.
Yeah.
He got caught up in anger.
Yeah.
Maybe even being high.
Yeah.
And let out all his frustration, which we don't even have a clue of what he was raised with to be that angry.
Now, here's the ill part. He's going to prison. Right? So he has to survive prison. And he has to build himself up to deal with that. Because that's his reality now. His reality is now I got to be tough. I can't be taken for a punk. I got to do what I got to do inside these prison walls. So now in him building that up, right? Because in building that up, you got to be taken. You know what I'm saying? Some shit is going to happen to you that you don't want to happen to you. And then you got to build from that and overcome that. So now he's got to deal with that effect, right? And build himself up. How many years does that take for him to even get to the point to where he's a real man, a true man that can understand his true feelings as a man and understand his wrongs and accept it and say, oh shit, what I did 20 years ago, 30 years ago is now affecting me and how I affected those lives and so forth. And then now to even create even more trauma, guess what? It's within his own family because he killed his sister.
Who's doing that? Who's doing that bid with him? Woo! You just killed your sister with a baby in her hand. Who's doing the bid with him?
Who's doing the bid with him? That's something else.
Obviously, somewhere.
His brother's not.
His brother is in jail for shooting him.
So
over Christmas gifts. This Christmas. He'll never see another one in the streets. At least not for the next decade.
It's a sad state of affairs.
They trying to charge him as an adult. And here's my thing, right? We have been conditioned to be savages. So he turned into a savage. And now the reward for being a savage and this judicial, this white man's justice, black man's grief, is going to give him an educational ass whipping in the penitentiary like he ain't never seen. I listen to so many dudes. You know what get me pissed off, Troy? When dudes be on the internet bragging about, or just be bragging, period, I was busting my gun since I was 12 and 13. I'm a father. I got teenagers in my house. Nala graduated high school. Amani back-to-back graduated high school. Before Nala and Amani, Mimi and Vaughnie, my adopted child, graduated high school. Mimi graduated high school. When you sit up there and you say that, and you brag about busting your gun at 13 years old, do you realize that you saying that your mother wasn't shit? You were putting the flaws of your parents out there on the internet. You thinking that it sounds cute, but to somebody that's a parent, he's a dad. I'm a dad. The presence of a father. We don't even have to spank asses. Just because our children know that daddy's around,
That's real.
Daddy could be called.
That's real.
They don't even want you to tell their daddy because these are daddy's girls.
My voice is strong enough.
The voice.
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
You brothers out there, how that song go? By Jaheim, the one y'all keep dissing? Gotta find my way back, way back. You created a child who needs to feel like they special from you.
Yeah.
You know what I hate? The fact that people I feel like as a man, it's my job to hire my children. But some of you feel like you're going to give birth to your children and then give them an order that they got to go out when they get a certain age to go to the colonizer and ask them for permission to work for them. They didn't ask to be birthed in a world where we on a different level of slavery. When your child is born, I'm going to say this again. When your child is born, you have a certain amount of time to get your shit together so that you can hire your child. But yet you tell them, you at that age, it's time for you to get out and go get a job, girl. Go get a man, girl. How about you hiring your children and passing down to them generational wealth the same way the people that you send them? Welcome to McDonald's. May I have your application, please? You sending them to the people who pass generational wealth down to their children, and you passing the application down to your children. Hit them in the. That's why I'm different with. I'm surgical with the way I see life. I remember these dudes was making videos about me, right? And they was calling me dysfunctional, right? And one of the particular dudes, he stole my whole style. He was like, this nigga dysfunctional. This is what y'all following? I said, nigga, DMX was dysfunctional. The whole hood is dysfunctional.
Yeah.
You think that it's normal to walk around after getting off the plantation for us to shoot each other? Do you think that it's normal to go in the studio and write 150 albums,
Right.
and all of them are dedicated to airing out your next door neighbor or selling crack to your own village?
Right.
And when they heard me say that, oh yeah, we all dysfunction. Yeah, no, I had to teach you that. The only difference is men are taught to hide our weaknesses. Me, I got to a point where I was like a phoenix. You was the first person ever. I don't think you remember the conversation we had. You turned around and looked at me like that. And you said, you know what your problem is? You said you wear your emotions on your sleeve. I've never heard that saying until you said that to me. The first person to tell me that. Okay. You wear your... And I had to think about that. Because I never heard a man teach a young man. I never heard that before. You wear your emotions on your sleeves. Everybody got... I tell people, I used to always say I was a real nigga. I don't call myself a real nigga no more. Okay. Because there's too many different definitions of what a real nigga is. Just like, oh, you ain't a real man. When people say that now, I said I never seen one. If I wasn't raised by a man, and all the men that I came across had different definitions of how to carry yourself out as a man, well, which one am I supposed to pick? Nobody taught me how to treat a young lady. I had to learn that love ain't supposed to hurt. After I hurt, Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And when he died, like, come on, man. We hurt our woman. When ain't nobody gonna be there like us or for us like our woman.
I mean, you act accordingly. You act as you were taught, right? You imitate before you actually implement what you've learned.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you might imitate your dad and not even understand the lessons that he even taught you.
Nigga ain't teach me shit.
Shit.
Nigga wasn't around to teach.
But you're gonna imitate him.
But you know what's crazy, right? The men that we looked up to in the hood, because the hood raised us, right? Mm-hmm. Most of these niggas get a certain age.
I gotta hit that.
They get a certain age. Yeah, they get a certain age, and when they come home from jail or they get their shit together, they don't ever go back to the hood and say, yo, I'm sorry for misleading you, but everything that I taught you was a lie.
Well, there's a lot that goes into it, because you got to also think about where they came from and who taught them and how they were learned and raised. You understand? So, like a lot of us, we blame our forefathers, but we're not also realizing what they came up under. You understand? And so at this year and age and how we progress as human beings, because we have emotional intelligence, we have more information provided to us that our parents didn't and their parents didn't. And so because that sharing of information is so important, we become more informed. And because we become more informed, we become more enlightened. And because we become more enlightened, we're able to see our faults and where we need to grow and so forth, and where maybe our parents didn't have those advantages. We're able to see those things, right? But we can't continue to hold them accountable for the lack of knowledge that they didn't have. And well, that's where we fall short.
But who we do hold accountable is the streets.
I got that.